Synth Riders, the best VR game where fitness and fun are smashed together as you dance until your heart's content, or an endless synthwave fever dream that's a one-way ticket to a pair of Smash controllers. With various game modes, customization, a large soundtrack, and fitness in mind, Synth Riders is a refreshing taste of what dance and fitness games can be for VR. At least that's what they say. But is it true? And how does it compare to the king of VR games, Beat Saber? As I've gotten more familiar with VR, rhythm games and their communities, and what can make an amazing user experience, I figured it would be a good time to give Synth Riders a real chance and give it my brutally honest review. Here's the breakdown of my scoring. Let me know in the comments if you would score it differently. Let's get started. So I've played Synth Riders about 10 hours over the past few weeks, checking out all the different modes, options, multiplayer, and honestly, just having a lot of fun with it. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have its fair share of problems. First, we should talk about the core gameplay. Your hands are two separate colors and you have to hit the orbs flying at you with the correct color. There are two other note types. One note, yellow by default, is for putting your hands together for a double hit, and the other note, green by default, can be hit with either hand, letting you choose which one is more comfortable in the moment. There are two main ways to play, rhythm and force. Rhythm is the most fun part of the game, and it's what you'll find yourself dancing to the most. The way the patterns make you move makes it very easy to loosen up and get moving to the music. But this is where I found my first problems with the game. It seems that some of the maps have patterns that don't really flow well at all. You'll be guided one way and then suddenly jerked to another spot moving in a different direction. And in a game about dancing, it can be quite jarring. I'm going to blame a lot of this on early mapping, seeing as there were less problems in some of the later beat maps. I mean, look at the early OST maps on Beat Saber. They're basically unplayable by today's mapping standards. The worst part is that I had so many hand and face smashes. I never hit my own headset in a game until this one. And it happened more than a couple times. I know I'm complaining a lot about these patterns, but they're actually not a huge issue. I still really enjoy playing, and if I'm gonna be completely honest, as far as a purely fun, enjoyable time, I think Synth Riders actually has the edge on Beat Saber. The one big missing thing is that satisfying feeling. There are a few patterns that really do it, like some of the inward arm circles, and when there's a line of quick notes, the haptic feedback is so good. Force mode changes things up by changing how scoring works. In rhythm, you get a higher score for hitting the orb closer to the center. In force, you get a higher score for hitting the orb harder. This is a fun way to play, but the one complaint I have is that all of the beat maps are the same for both modes, and they were clearly designed for rhythm mode. So patterns with a lot of notes close together are pretty hard. I mean, there's no way you can punch like 20 times in half a second, you know? But force mode is a fun way to incorporate like a boxing element to the game. I would just recommend playing this mode with no intention of getting a good score, just having fun. Overall, the two main game modes are very enjoyable, even though there are a few problems. For our gameplay section, we have 30 points up for grabs. All things considered, some rough patterns don't really take away from the fun of it all. I'm gonna give gameplay a 25 out of 30. Let's talk about the menu and overall UI real quick. I think the menu flows really well. Although visually it is a little busy,
Oh my God!
I can normally find whatever setting or mode I'm looking for pretty quickly. But Cluj, what the hell is this? This keyboard looks like the default keyboard in every itch.io Unity game released in the last 10 years. But seriously, the only couple of things about the UI I have complaints about are that the scroll doesn't really work right, it's pretty finicky, and it doesn't register half of the inputs. I would also love to be able to toggle shuffle for any playlist I'm in, not just all songs. Overall, the UI and menu flow are not perfect, but they're pretty good. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10. I think I'm just spoiled by Beat Saber's clean, clear, and consistent UI and flowing menu. Synth Riders does offer quite a bit of customization to let you have the exact experience you want to have. Let's go over some of the modifiers. No fail is always appreciated. We'd love to be able to play through a song even if we can't quite beat it yet. Spin mode offers pretty much the same experience as the 90 degree and 360 degree modes from Beat Saber. It's okay in theory, but just as with Force Mode, since it's a modifier, they aren't unique maps. They're just the same maps that swing around you seemingly randomly during the map. Spiral Mode is honestly atrocious. The stage spins around underneath your feet and makes you stretch so far that I smashed my wall. I couldn't understand if I was in control of the spin or if it just spun around randomly. It also immediately broke my Guardian 3 times in the 20 seconds I made it through a song. And don't even think about playing this mode if you get motion sickness, or if you don't have an empty warehouse to play VR in. But moving on, we can turn off obstacles, which is great for people with mobility problems. Love to see that. There's also a one-handed mode, but it's buried in the options instead of right here on the modifiers page. We can also change the jump speed, size, and shape of the orbs. Sudden death is pretty much the same as Beat Saber's one life modifier, same with disappearing notes. And prismatic is way harder than I could have ever imagined. For some reason this was basically impossible for me, but I'd imagine it would be easier the more you play and get comfortable reading ahead. Overall, the modifiers are decent, although maybe a little bland. We can also change a ton of settings like orb placement, room settings, and the virtual camera. I really like that you can type in the exact hex color that you want when you're choosing colors. If you watch my perfect Beat Saber update video, you know I'd love to be able to type in colors. And the HUD options are pretty great, allowing you to show exactly what you want. Overall, there is a lot of customization built into the game. But I am going to take off a few points for the lack of interesting modifiers. I guess I'll give customization a 12 out of 15. Next up is the visuals of the game. For the most part, the quality is pretty good. In the quest, everything looks and feels pretty smooth. There are a few spots where there are some frame drops and black screens, especially when loading a beat map, but I haven't noticed any stuttering during gameplay, except on a couple maps with a very high note density. If you're having any issues with performance, you can turn off pretty much any and all post-processing you want. Whether you want a beautiful, flawless world to fly through, some buttery smooth gameplay, or something in between, I think you'll be able to get exactly what you want. I do love the synthwave feel that the whole game has. I mean, this is my laptop background. But I do wish there was a little more variety to the stages. The environments alone are way better than the original Beat Saber environments. I mean, the first, Triangle, Nice, and Big Mirror are basically the same. In fact, most of the environments feel the same when you're playing. Slight variations, maybe a couple of different lights or a band's name, but it wasn't until later on that they finally started making environments that actually look like something new. Linkin Park was the first environment that felt like a new thing. And they've done a lot better with creating new and interesting ones since. I would just love to see that for synth writers. Give us some more theming, but even though I'd like to see some more variety, I still think the game looks really nice, and overall the design is fun, bright, and memorable. It gets a 9 out of 10 for me. Next, we have a huge surprise. I was actually dreading the multiplayer, and honestly didn't expect to be able to find anybody playing. But I was surprised when there were 2 open rooms being hosted, with actual people. So I went in, and it asked me if I could use my microphone? What? A multiplayer experience where I can talk to the people I'm playing with? You mean to tell me that I can say, it's your turn to pick a song, without just pointing my hand toward the other person and then at the menu in front of me? No way. Not in 2023. But anyway, yes, I loaded into a room and was greeted by these 2 very... What the hell is that? Oh my god, that's terrifying. What are we playing? RoboCop Nightmare Simulator? Please, synth writers, you didn't put a clause in the multiplayer agreement about jump scares. I'm gonna keep my eyes on you 2. But seriously, these 2 people, Evie and Darla, were actually so sweet and friendly. They helped me with some settings and explained how some things worked. You can change a lot of your settings right here in the multiplayer lobby without having to leave, which is really nice. I can't tell you how nice it is to have a microphone in-game instead of relying on Discord, especially when you're playing with randoms. I didn't experience much network lag, and the audio quality for voices was great. I would love to be able to see the other players while playing though. There is a power-up system for multiplayer, but it didn't seem like many people played with that. I'm curious to check it out because I feel like it could only add to an already great multiplayer experience. And thank you again, Evie and Darla, for being so welcoming, not kicking me when I told you I was recording, and even waiting for me to switch to PC VR so I could play some more custom songs with you. Hopefully I'll see your lobby again soon. Overall, I was very surprised and happy with multiplayer, and I think I'm gonna have to give it a perfect 10 out of 10. Nice job, Cluj. Beat Games, take note. Let's move from the biggest surprise to the biggest letdown, the soundtrack. The pack that launched with the game was the 99 Lives pack. I actually really like this one. It's mostly dubstep and EDM. Some of it is a little generic and pretty dated, but it's decent. If you don't like dubstep, you won't like this pack though. Next released was the Fixed Music pack. It's a pretty big pack at 12 songs, but 2/3 of them are that metal dubstep fusion that only Sullivan King has really nailed for me. The other songs are pretty forgettable 80s-esque pop, except You Know That You Love Me. I don't know why, but I really like this one. This pack is fun for a playthrough, but it can get boring quickly. Now, let's get to the synthwave of it all. Synthwave Essentials 1. Like I said earlier, I like synthwave. Remember my background? But oh my god, this pack is 20 songs. And if you've heard one synthwave song, you've heard them all. Look, I get wanting to put out a bunch of content, especially when it's still early and you're gaining momentum, but this pack could have easily been 6 or 7 songs and it would have been fine. The only song that stands out of all 20 is Laser Pink. The rest all blend together, especially when on display like this. I mean, really, there are only like 3 different synthwave songs. But get this, there's not 1, but 2 more synthwave packs. Remember when I said I wish there were some different themes in the game? Yeah, this is what I mean. They took 1 lemon, squeezed out 20 glasses of lemonade, and then started selling the rind as extra content. Each of these packs have a few free maps as well as paid DLC, and again, it's 18 of the same songs. But Synthwave Essentials 2 does have my favorite song of the whole game, Abyss, so I have to give it that. But other than that, it's just way too much. As far as the paid music packs go, I'm glad there's a variety to choose from, and hopefully it brings in a little wider player base. The free songs in the Adrenaline pack are fairly forgettable, but Hard to Love is okay. I actually really like the Cyberpunk pack too, but again, it's very dubstep heavy, so if you don't like that, it's probably not for you either. Now last, I want to talk about the Electro Swing pack. Something has got to be bugged, or they're still pushing this pack like crazy, because when I use the shuffle mode, I swear every other song is Electro Swing. So much that I thought there were at least 2 free full packs of Electro Swing, but when I saw that there were only 7 songs, I was shocked. And this is another one of those genres that, yes, I like, but in moderation. And when I do listen to it, I'm gonna listen to the same 5 songs I always do, and then not listen to it again for another 15 months. I would play Booty Swing and Wonderland from the Caravan Palace pack, and they should have added April Showers by Proletter. Thank you, Mumbo Jumbo. Other than that, I'm good on the Electro Swing. I just wish there was way more variety in the music. Give us some pop, 2000s hip hop, more EDM genres, maybe some Latin music in this dancing game. Just more stuff that people want to dance to. Beat Saber has a much more varied soundtrack, and with packs like Queen, Billie Eilish, and BTS, they're really making sure that they're getting a little bit of everything. And where is the Japanese music in Synth Riders? I mean, it's a rhythm game, right? I get that it's more dancey than technical, but still. I'm not saying it has to be Camellia, but we can definitely get down to some Psyche or P-Light. The soundtrack is Synth Riders' biggest downfall. I just feel like there's so much potential. I have to give the soundtrack an 8 out of 15. But the soundtrack is nothing that our last category can't help with. It's the world we live in. A lot of games are kept alive by the content that its biggest fans make, and it's no different with Synth Riders. And first up, I do want to say that the community is a lot more active than I originally thought, so I'm sorry for underestimating the Synth Riders army in a previous video. But modding the game is actually extremely simple. In fact, I wouldn't even call it modding. I thought that when I switched to PC VR Beat Saber, the modding process was easy. I mean, it is, but Synth Riders is even easier. Literally download whatever songs, stages, or avatars you want and drag them in the correct folder wherever you installed the game. That's it. It's literally just built into the game. It's amazing when a game developer encourages their community by adding like this directly into the game files. Now, to get all this stuff, you just go to one website and it's all there. I didn't have to wonder if I should go to website number 1, 2, 3, or 4. And I didn't need to join 11 discords to make sure I got all of the right information. Beat maps, mods, models, and all of the community information all on one website, as clear as can be. Amazing. But the drawback of this streamlined process is that the modding is very limited. It's mostly basic UI changes like a delete button and map voting. There is a Noodle mod manager, and coming from Beat Saber, I was excited because I thought it would be something similar to Noodle extensions. But no, it's just a download manager for the beat maps and custom models, which, with there only being 3,000 custom maps, it's easier to just go download them all. It's like 6 gigs. In fact, that's what Evie and Darla told me to do. There's even a button on the site to download every song in one zip file. Benefits of having less user-generated content, I guess. But yeah, just skip the Noodle manager and load everything manually. It's already an easy process. I do wish there were more mods to try out though. The lack of variety of mod really knocks this down, and I'm gonna have to give it a 6 out of 10. Now, that's my last category, but I do want to mention one more thing. The Synthwriters website. It's a nice clean design without too much clutter, but what I really want to talk about are these 3 tabs. First up, we have an absolutely amazing press kit filled with beautiful high-quality assets, promotional materials, SVGs of all the logos, and even backups of old press kits. And my favorite part is the wonderful fact sheet detailing all of the important information, links, and history of the game. As someone who makes videos and does a decent amount of research for them, this is so helpful and appreciated. I love it. Next is the store, and while not jam-packed full of junk, they have a decent amount to offer. Beat Saber has 3 very basic t-shirts, and I couldn't even find a store link on their site anymore. Synthwriters has 5 really cool shirts, a button, notebook, 2 stickers, and a poster. Definitely way better than what the Beat Saber merch store offers. But the last thing I want to talk about is the music page. While it's not as pretty as the Beat Saber music page, it actually gives the information I want. If I try to click on the music pack on Beat Saber, it takes me to listen to it on other platforms, but there's no written song list. The Synthwriters page lists every song, it's clear if it's paid DLC, and most importantly for YouTubers and streamers, all of the licensing information you need is right there. And at the bottom, there's a blurb about how they encourage videos and content to be made about Synthwriters and some guidelines to follow. I absolutely love this, and it's great that they encourage their community in different ways. Oh, and if you want to listen to it, don't worry, there's a link at the bottom to the full playlist on Spotify. So we've covered pretty much everything. Let's see what our final score is. We have 25 for gameplay, 8 for UI, 12 for customization, 9 for the visuals, a perfect 10 for multiplayer, an 8 for the soundtrack, 6 for user-generated content, and finally 5 bonus points for the website. That brings us to our final total of 83, a solid B, and I think that's perfect. Synthwriters is really a wonderful game. A couple of problems here and there, but nothing that takes away from the absolutely fun dancing and breaking a sweat that you'll have while playing. All of the custom beat maps and stages really make up for the stagnant feeling I got after a few hours of playing. It's clear that the developers want to encourage a community that has ideas and wants to create things for the game to continue to grow. If you're on the fence about getting Synthwriters, I would definitely recommend it. Hopefully, I gave you a clear idea of what to expect when playing, and don't let my nitpicking deceive you. It's a great game and a super fun time. If you've played Synthwriters, let me know down in the comments how you would rank things differently. I'm gonna go see if my new friends are playing, and hopefully the RoboCop army stays out of your nightmares. Thanks for watching. Bye!
I'm just going insane with the outcome. I finished my album and now I have space for you.